unplug it, plug it back in. That'll work.
It works every time.
Forever.
Works every time. Ooh,
Do you think at some point our kids are going to go like,
Echo.
oh no,
Oh,
we got
no.
echo? What if I turn that off?
Piping,
Better?
piping. Yeah, better.
I was going to say, do you think at some point our kids, like when we're 10, 15 years from now, they're going to go, you know that unplugging stuff and plugging it back in doesn't actually work anymore, right? And we're going to go, yeah, right. Like, it's been 30 years of us doing this.
Imagining you with like an analog synth in the basement there. So,
Nixie tube.
I'll be connecting soon.
You know, when everything explodes, these Nixie tube amplifiers are still going to be here, and we're still going to be listening to some great jams.
On the golden hour with Justin and Jam. I'm good.
Yeah, we'll also have like an AM radio channel instead of this. We'll be like podcasting in slow motion on like a radio signal.
I'm good. How are you?
I like that we got the color memo down.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
Nice.
It's a nice coat.
You'll have to go catch this on YouTube to check the guys' matching outfits of the day. They're cute IF.
Thanks. It's cold. Cold and I'm tired. I didn't want to get out of bed, but here I am.
Oh, just laying in bed, the microphone on your side. I didn't want to get out, so here I am.
How was the course? Teachy, Mr. Teacher?
It's good. It's good. I felt like I was back in school preparing for it, crunching most of the week, trying to
Yeah.
remember how to make a presentation. I've always loved, have you ever used Keynote instead of PowerPoint?
Never.
Oh my God, I love Keynote. It's so good. You would think Pages kind of sucks for Mac, but Keynote is just like such an amazing program. It's so good. It's just so simple to use, and it's like beautiful. Like no matter what you kind of do with it, it looks good. And I was just trying to give myself something to remember to continue to like keep talking about the next thing without having to I don't even know, look down at paper constantly. Yeah, it went really well. I spent a lot of time the previous 3 days and nights kind of like really getting all my stuff together. And I think that presentation kind of really helped deck, as all the techies call it. That seemed to really help. And I got some good feedback at the end for being the first class. And there were really good ideal students or people that came that really were courteous and understood we were making our first attempt at it, and they seemed to really appreciate it. So it was good. It's what we had hoped for.
Was it 2 days?
Nope. I think it was the right amount of time. I wouldn't have a voice for a second day. I don't know how teachers do it, honestly, like how they talk
Day
that
after
much.
day. Yeah. Awesome. Congrats. Well done.
Thanks. It was nice. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, the shots of your workshop all laid out in teaching mode were cool to see. Little desks and
nice.
Everyone got their little PDX packs, I imagine. Kind of been
Yeah, we had some swag.
some swag.
And it wasn't really a lot that I felt like we really were out on, like we didn't have prepared, which was good. You know, I guess thinking about different aspects, but then like really trying to put together the details to have people's captive attention for like 8 hours is way more intense than I always knew it would be. But like, you know, that I needed that presentation to follow through. Even it wasn't like, oh, let's read bullet points the whole time. I would put like links to like Fusion documents, and that was part of it. Is like I needed to have prepared examples. So we did some like routing examples on the machine, and then talked about how we might make those and like how the fixtures would work. And so it's good. There's a range from students that had no CNC experience to had a business making guitars. And then there was another student that was like the main programmer operator for their woodworking CNC business that they worked for. So it's a good range. It was good to have both.
And are people on their laptops like throughout sort of actively doing stuff? as well.
Yeah. That I suggested strongly that you bring a laptop and follow along as you wanted to, and like,
Yeah.
I think that's a really strong way. That was always good for me to like actually be doing it alongside, and nobody was like on Reddit that I could tell. They seemed actively involved. A lot of good questions, and it just, it kind of reminded me of that thing you hear Saunders talk about, where I really value these. I think Ricky did too, and we've had a couple experiences similar, but not, so involved for so long. But like the kind of like lean shop tours where you like want to give somebody a tour of your shop, and it makes you be more prepared in kind of like cleaning your house before guests come over. But in this case, it's like, they're inspecting every corner of your shop, hoping to copy parts,
Yeah.
I don't think people might do that at your house, but they're not like, hey, why is this a little dirty over here? How are you keeping the dust down so well in this corner of your house?
They're not paying to be there to inspect the dust. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, be a new thing, man. Somebody's into that.
Cool.
So that was kind of nice. Like at the end, we just kind of like wandered around. They asked questions and talked about different aspects of the shop. So I think that's always really good, and it makes you feel good about the things you've made an effort towards that nobody else sees, for example, or just gives you something to strive for. I think that you keep your house clean, basically.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. How are things been for you?
Pretty good. So, I don't know. What day is it? It's Monday morning. That's right. I'm at work and it's Monday morning. Please remind me. No, pretty good.
Hey, got it on your own.
Weekendy was sort of kid stuff, so my brain still hasn't quite bounced back to work mode, but I should have, because I was here last night trying to play catch up, making about 11 big birch ply corporate table bases at the moment with a million parts.
Oh.
And
real birch too.
Real birch. And I'd made a bit of a puzzle
I'm a
for
real
myself. There's 11 tables. We prototyped one of them last week, and I jumped up and down on it. I was like, yeah, this feels great. And then finished all the fusion models for the other 11. And, well, no, first we did a lot of work on the model early last week in preparation, and then it was like, cool, this one's good. Now to sort of extrapolate this out into the 10 other sizes. And the model just immediately broke on resizing, and like the timeline had red everywhere. It was horrible. I was like, oh, why? What's going on? And then I realized it was like a hand-me-down model that 2 other people had worked on me. No shade on them, but, just that sort of multi-handover model of just like other people's mess and building.
Yep.
And I hadn't quite twigged that I was building on someone else's logic when I sort of stuck my head in there and reworked it last week. Anyway, so I just started again. I did like the classic fusion project of just like, I know what I'm doing now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to start from scratch, clean parameters. It's not going to take me that long. I did that. And anyway, I built a bit of like a sort of weird apex puzzle piece connection as part of the table design.
I think I saw that, yeah.
I came in last night just to get ahead of the week because Ben had prototyped the first one last week, and he was like, Jem, I think this needs part labels on it so we know when there's 10 coming off the machine which bit goes where, because each one's a slightly different size. I was like, no, I'll be fine. I don't have a great workflow in Fusion at the moment for adding labels effectively and engraving part numbers and stuff.
Yep.
We'll work it out. It's only these parts that we kind of have to sort through. Anyway, came in last night and just like, it was an absolute puzzle nightmare. Like sorting through this part. So part of it was just kind of like knowing that it was going to be difficult, wanting to get ahead and sort it out since no one else had to do it. And then Laura, we'd just been out to a friend's place for dinner, and Laura had the kids in the car trying to get them to sleep. And she ended up coming to the shop because she's got a great brain for puzzles. So once the kids were asleep, she rolled in for an hour and just like helped me sort through the puzzle pieces. So they're all labeled now. Start gluing them up. it's a short week here due to a public holiday, so just trying to get ahead, and pretty much tables are due next week, but we pretty much have to get them all done and dusted in the next few days. So
Yeah.
it's kind of that. And what else is happening? I don't know. Things are going pretty well, pretty smoothly. Just really enjoying the new model.
Yeah.
The new,
Less stress, I assume.
yeah,
To some
way less stress. Like, even though I'm working probably more, I'm definitely doing more hours overall. I don't know, sort of
Yeah.
50 plus hours a week, easy. Just, yeah, stress levels are way lower overall, and it feels like I'm coming to work with so much more purpose because I know we're kind of making progress again.
Yeah.
Like, not slipping backwards. I paid like our last sort of big bill that kind of to do with the larger team last week, which was the superannuation, which I think you call 401k or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that in Word. Superannuation. Could you make it any more of a confusing word?
So I paid
superannuation in Australia.
the last big super bill last week, and so that felt like a bit of a sort of a milestone to be like, cool, I'm pretty sure that's the last oversized expense to come through. So yeah, feeling really positive about it all, and it's good.
I know what you mean by that. I talked to my mentor for the first time in a couple of months this week, and I was looking forward to it because I felt like we had made some really good strides. And, you know, in other circumstances, I felt worse about it and not wanted to talk about it. But I feel like when I don't talk about those worse moments, then it just it could be a slide. You keep sliding down the path. I don't have to stop and think about what are these bad habits or things that are happening. So it was nice, the opposite, when it's like, yeah, I was like, have you ever heard of profit first? And he was like, maybe the phrase, but no, I don't know anything about it. So I described it and showed him some of the financial stuff. And he was excited for us, but he was like, yeah, I mean, at some point, maybe you won't need it. Kind of like, it was like, I very much recognize that there's a lot of tricks to it. You're tricking yourself, you're tricking your brain into needing all these separate things. And for whatever reason, you know, even knowing that, I'm fine with it. Like, fine with it being a bunch of tricks and splitting money into different pots physically rather than, I know, conceptually seems to really help, and that it's automated to some degree. I have the same feeling. I mean, it's been nice that we've made, you know, having these new courses out and new products have really helped to make a good income last month and a half. So as I've noted endlessly here, that it feels amazing that there's money being set aside for like profit and taxes and all that stuff. That's not, it just kind of feels like there's this one less thing to think about, which was always a thing for me with getting things done, was the same feeling. It was like your brain is just bad at keeping all the things it needs to do inside of it and then be creative and be a good conversationalist and all these other things. So as soon as you take those other tasks away, that really there's no reason why we should be remembering those things in the first place. You know, it just makes so much more sense.
Yeah. How often do you catch up into them?
Usually monthly.
Yeah, cool.
It's just like a catch up. It's I mean, for the longest time, it was just super good for me. It's part of what helped create, I guess, just progress towards our, you know, our goals, right? I needed some, like, Ricky's an amazing teammate, but he's not going to get on me for not having new products out or things that are a larger picture or a third party. It's, you know, very much like a therapy session. It's just being able to be externally analytical of your business from typically somebody that has a decent amount of success. Like, and I'll recommend, I found this mentor through this program called SCORE, and it's like a non-profit organization where people sign up to be mentors, and then you sign up to be a mentee, and they just pair you with somebody. So I don't know if it's international, but I know it's American, US anyway. And
that's cool.
You know, I'm sure it doesn't always work out, but like, He's happy to be there. He loves seeing our progress, and I'm happy to. He actually is in Portland too, which is cool. So
Nice.
we've never met up physically, which is funny.
Oh, really?
Just always chatted here. No,
Yeah, all right. And is it,
the Zoom world.
do you pay for this service?
No, it's free. It's all free.
Wow. That's pretty cool. That's cool. And like, I had an interesting experience last week because, as you know, I've been in this business coaching program for 2 years. It's quite expensive. I spent a lot of money on it.
I bet.
I do not regret that one bit because I've learned so much. It's been fantastic in many ways. But, now in the new paradigm, it's like, cool, I can't make that work in my budget moving forward. And so I'm kind of actively looking around for other sort of networks. But I was at a sort of like a local business networking thing a few weeks ago, and maybe it's sort of the equivalent of your SCORE thing, which looks like it's a US program. Someone spoke
I didn't
at
find anything
that.
for Australia when I just searched.
Yeah, from the AI group, who are like an industry body here, spoke at this event, and they spoke about this like government-funded sort of support thing, which is available in certain areas at the moment. And so I put my name down for it, and someone actually came out to the shop last week and just came for a chat and sort of wanted to learn more about our business. And yeah, it was cool. We sort of he just sort of asked a lot of questions and I had a lot of answers for him. I think because I've done this business coaching program, I'm like maybe unusually on top of my numbers for a small business. And you could, ask me what our GP was and I could answer off the top of my head and like blah, blah, blah. Like,
I'm still getting there with those things. Yeah.
But it was kind of cool. And there might be something in that for us moving forward, that like there might be some sort of free sort of government supported mentorship of some sort through that program, which could be cool. And I think, the accountability thing's amazing.
Right.
That's such a big factor.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten a lot of good ideas from him, but I think no discounting his experience. I think largely it is most helpful for me to have the accountability of having to report and feel like a dummy for, last time saying, I'm going to have these new products ready and then it not happening. And, in a lot of ways, it's like, what's he doing there if I'm just not doing not moving forward? So you feel like you're going to lose there's some scarcity, I guess, to it. Maybe that's just my mindset. I know I wouldn't just like fold up shop after 2 months of me not moving forward, but there's something to it. If it's not this and you don't have a program like this around, which I don't, if you're in the US, I think SCORE is not regional necessarily. So I don't think you have to find somebody local, but it was really easy. I basically filled in a form and said, I'm looking for this kind of help. And like a week later or 2 days later, I got somebody that's like, hey, you want to talk? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. Like, and it's a little eye-opening to tell somebody your problems and all the things you're dealing with, but it's also super helpful. So I definitely recommend that if you haven't found somebody otherwise.
Yeah. Super valuable.
It's been a huge help for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had this, I finished up inventory accounting, like our whole shop. We have to do it for tax purposes here. Like an audit, basically, of all the things you have and the values and stuff. And we're not done with taxes altogether, but like tax day was April 15th. And so I had to finish that up. And I was pretty surprised at the numbers of the value of our inventory. I would have not guessed went up 41% since the year before. And that makes me feel good, but also bad, right? Like it makes it same with profit first. It's like, oh, there's some answer to where some of the money's gone.
Some of the money is sitting
there. Somewhere in the shop, we have things that are worth something.
Yeah.
But the lean brain of mine that I trained for years before the pandemic of thinking like, we don't want inventory is like, what the hell are you doing? Why do you have so many things eating up cash, right? And I think it's probably good, and we're constantly trying to keep aware of it, but I also want to find a new way to like analyze that better, like not annually. I want to be able to like see accurate values and like compare that to what are the sales trends of those items. Should we be having $5,000 of something sitting around that we're not using? I don't know. Weird feeling.
Where do you track this inventory? Is it in Shopify or somewhere else?
Well, so like that is part of the problem, I suppose, is the annual inventory is a spreadsheet I created that collects a lot of stuff we don't keep inventory of, right? Like we don't track our boxes in VQuo and Shopify.
Sure.
Or,
but there's a lot
miscellaneous screws.
There's a lot of items, like 13,000 items. Does that mean you're counting screws for this stock take?
I think that's probably a lot of that. It's every box, every screw, every thing. And, it's a bit of a problem to me of like, well, you've counted it in the past. Now you got to count it this year. It had to have gone somewhere.
I know.
So you just keep adding up this like compilation of mess. My friend does auditing for like big corporations, and so I always give him a bunch of crap about how needless this is every time I have to do it. And he's always like, yeah, whatever, I'm gonna tell the IRS. And I'm like, okay,
I'll go back to counting my screws.
Go ahead. I'll keep use my counting scale. Ricky loves doing it, luckily, and that's been a huge help for me because it was just always the bane of my existence doing it myself. It's now become more of a problem too.
You got counting scales?
We have one, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm always shocked by these numbers too, because we do it the same. We have to do it for tax, end of financial year, and it's just like, we've got how much plywood on the shelf? My God. That's where all the money is. Yeah. When
the second highest inventory line item is plywood that we've eaten through some of, but it's material that was for knack walls from 2021.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to sell that for a long time, and nobody seems to like want, that specific plywood makeup that I have. So that doesn't feel good either.
Yeah, the project that Sarah and I had was trying to find a better way of doing this where for us, like if we have, $10,000 worth of plywood on the shelf, at the moment, how we account for that is it's an asset. It's not an expense necessarily.
So then you have to depreciate it?
Yeah, you have to. Well, ideally, in an ideal world, every time you use a sheet, you kind of pull from that inventory, but also from that like asset value. But it's like gets real complicated.
Such a nightmare to track.
I know. Which is why it's easier just to call it an expense and just like it's done. Put it through the books, and then it's sitting there, and then it comes up in one of these stock tags. So no, I've never found a better way of doing it. When we first started using Shopify, I had all these fantasies of like QR codes everywhere, and like every time Johnny pulled a sheet of 18mm ply off the rack, he'd scan a QR and it would automatically deduct a sheet from Shopify inventory. And theoretically, all possible. Not that hard to set up, but it's kind of that classic lean thing of like, do you count every time you use a screw? Do you count that screw, or do you just like sit down and count the screws every 3 months? Like, it's like, what's the best approach?
Right.
Don't know.
I was just thinking like some kind of joke about like, oh, we'll have some AI overlord that's always watching when we take a screw out and then it tracks it. But then I was like, well, we all know that's fake because we just, that whole news story about Amazon's
thing,
walkout stores, and they just had people in India watching the videos instead of the actual AI doing work. So, I had this dream the beginning of last week, and I wrote it down. I wouldn't have remembered it. I thought it was pretty good. And I don't know what, it's just, cumulative stresses of things of the week. But I had this dream that I was routing this giant expensive piece of foam. And in the dream, or at the end on the cutout, which is always on the cutout, the profile cutout, it shifted. after hours, many hours of routing 3D Surface. And the rest of my dream, I woke up multiple times and I kept going back to sleep, and the dream would start again and I'd have to be trying to figure out how to solve it. And I kept waking up and in the dream telling myself, this isn't real. And it just kept happening over and over. And I was like, what kind of hell? I can't get out of this. I can't fix it. There's no fixing it because it's not real.
As soon as you said I had a dream and you were about to describe it, like my fingers just reached for ChatGPT and DALL-E. I was just like, I need to make an image of whatever Justin's about to say.
They're going to say, like, I just pushed escape. Stop.
Stop. Yeah, that's fever dreams. It's like when you do like repetitive CAD right up until falling asleep or something. It's just like all looping through your brain.
In architecture school, I used to dream, and this wasn't uncommon. I would be inside my projects in my dreams, like in the models.
What? Oh, wow.
And being pissed off about it because I couldn't fix. It was never good. It wasn't like, oh, this is an amazing space. It was always like, why can't I figure out how to make this? But, I can't make this model or... And it wasn't uncommon. We had others... I know other people had that same problem. Are we going to get to hear your creation somehow?
Oh, the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, during the week, I was listening to This Day in AI, which is the AI news podcast I listen to. And they mentioned this service, Udio. And I finished listening to it, and I immediately was like curious. I was like, jumped on, because I've been... because of that Ableton push thing that I've had access to recently, I've just been in a bit more of a music mode. And I jumped onto Udio, and it's just like, it's signed up in 2 seconds, which surprised me because a lot of these AI things are kind of behind bigger walls or harder to access sometimes.
Right.
But I could immediately see that it was quite an active platform with heaps of users and plays and stuff. And so it's like, cool. So you just put a prompt in here, and I just chuck the prompt in about killer parts in our product and stuff. And within like less than 30 seconds later, I had like 2 short, albeit short tracks, 30 seconds each. Bangers. It just blew me away. And for it's the first time I've ever, in all of this AI nonsense we've been chatting about over the last year, 18 months, it's the first time I've had a sort of fearful response to AI. Like something about music feels kind of sacred to me. It's like I've never been worried about like the fact that it can do photorealistic images or graphic design or like, but something about music kind of just like made me go, oh my God, like this is so powerful. And it's like, it's not incredible yet, but it's pretty amazing what it can already do. And like, what does this mean for human creativity and like expression? It's just like, I had that moment, which I'm sure everyone has in different ways about what they feel precious about in different,
I mean, I've heard similarly, everybody's hearing about this stuff at all times, I think now, but with one of the things that I guess surprised me recently, which I was surprised at how good the quality was of these songs, which we'll probably drop in here somewhere.
Insert banger here.
She mess with basic shells, I build killer parts, dream constructs. Yeah, listen, I'm crafting tight joints, killer parts, no screws to lose. Precision cut assemblies clean with these CNC moves. Shell stacking, don't stop, all cuts. But we keep it clean to the last slide. Throw your plywood up, it's an eco feed. Slide that, lock that panel, now the set's complete. Final piece in the slide, builders catch that grin. Grab another CNC plot. Tomorrow orders coming, time to restock. Stop holding off the bill, waiting for the program. Coupon like gold mines, we assemble with skill. Local wrong, sustainability is the thrill. Panel slides so smooth thanks to carbide bitch. Material whisperer, that's how I CNC fish. Killer parts clicking in that combo lock. Modular magic, we stockpile the block. From the earth to your room, it's a circle complete. Nest them, test them, feel that eco heartbeat. Every cut's a statement, our shelving's a stand. Craft them green with a blueprint in hand. Repeat, let's expand the killer sequence.
Yeah. That was gems.
That was mine, yeah.
that like PR and marketing companies, like advertising companies, are projected to be like largely replaced by AI, and they already are being.
Yeah, right.
Like obviously the big companies will stick around for longer, but like kind of can just replace their needs. And I'm just doing it all. I mean, I never would have considered it because we can't afford that kind of service, but like it just made me better so instantly at being able to create more. And you know, there's all that conversation about like all the AI articles. It's like 40% now on Google or something when you search. I did one about, which I shared with Jem because I was reading to my infant the
I thought that might have been a children's story.
popular Dr. Seuss book, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. And between Aaron and I, being, you know, millennials, we're still very into the punk rock days of Blink-182. And so we listen to that once in a while. And she had it in her head, and so she started doing Blink-182, One Fish, Red Fish, Dr. Seuss. And so I tried that, and it wouldn't make the exact, it says we can't make impersonations of actual artists, but it made something pretty close. It sounds a little bit more like ska, but it's like legitimately good, pretty good music. It's shocking. I mean, you only get 30 some seconds, but it's like, this is going to be a thing.
Slay that funky music, white boy.
One fish jump high, so high. Two fish they fly. Watch them soar. Red fish rockin' to the groove. Blue fish moshing just like you. Yeah, we rhyme and roll. One fish, two fish, red and blue fish.
There's going to be a lot of music that you're not going to be able to tell pretty soon that's like on TikTok that turns into Spotify, and then you're just going to be listening to it.
Totally. Yeah. And like I'll put the link to the episode here, but the two Australian brothers who do this AI podcast found a track on Udio that they thought was of particularly high quality that they liked, and they, as a prank, they sent it to a bunch of Australian record companies as a sort of, check out this hot new artist that no one knows about. Like, what do you think? And they've got responses back from producers, and they're going to see how far it goes.
Sure. I mean, my first thought was one thing that I've always struggled, and I've had videos taken down, I had to take down, I've had to mute the tracks on the audio.
Yeah.
Notably, I used kind of stupidly, one of the songs I got off of like SoundCloud back when I did that stupid vlog in the middle of the pandemic on YouTube, had a Kanye sample in it, and it was way too strong of a sample, and they made me like take that down, I think, or something. But yeah, I've always had trouble, and I've never paid for any service, so I usually try and find like royalty-free songs now. And that's rough. Like, they're not usually good if I'm like making something for YouTube, or I just, don't use much music anymore. But I was like, this could totally be music for YouTube. Like, as long as it's not too sampled from something else, which they're already trying not to do. They don't want to get sued either. That this kind of thing can absolutely be creating me music beds for YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. Particularly when you often only need sort of short snippets for video as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Craziness. Something that's been on my radar this last couple of weeks is because I'm the detailing guy again, which means I'm back in Fusion sort of doing...
I've seen Jem's creation now. About being a dream.
Justin's hot pink fever
room.
dream. I was going for your pink yoga, but it came out a bit hot pink.
That's right.
Look at that muscle tone though. Amazing.
I wish. I was just thinking I need to work out.
I'm the Fusion guy again, and which I'm quite enjoying. But it's really making me aware of like how much I don't know. Well, how much I've missed in the last couple of years. Like, I know nothing about how to use the whatever, I don't even know what it's called. Configurations?
Yep.
Correcto? So I believe you might be quite good at this, but we shall see. Guests.
Sorry.
Special guests.
Too distracted. Yeah. My special guest came and said, she's ignoring me. She's filling up the dog dish. Yeah, configurations. What's your hurdle with it right now? Just don't understand it?
This just my hurdle in my head. Just like, I don't know how to do that. I will ignore it because I don't know how. And I would like to learn. But
I recommend just trying it on something you don't need. Right?
Yeah.
Like, just screw around with, like, what can you change? I think the obvious thing that would be super useful for you would be kit parts configurations real fast for like lengths of dowel, or it probably wouldn't be. I've never found Fusion to be a very good like assembly builder of things. It's just too like timeline driven and connected in time to, doesn't really work that way. But there's a lot of things you could do, I think it'd be really helpful for you making custom solutions for people. If you had like different things you could quickly change and implement quickly. I just said that like 6 times. Quickly.
So quickly. Do just like the core of it though, like when you make a new configuration, are you going back into your timeline and making the changes you want to see for that particular configuration, or are you just changing? It's more than just changing parameters, right? Because otherwise you could just change parameters.
I still feel very adolescent at it, and I feel like there's going to be some new revelations, as well as like I haven't done a lot since I made the original videos, but the way I think of it often is what I end up doing is suppressing some stuff, suppressing a extrusion, right? If it was a certain thing, if you're completely changing it, it's not just a parameter. You're suppressing and then say, in some cases, like completely making a new extrusion, but it's another item in the timeline right after that.
Yeah.
And so I think of it like toggling on and off save settings often. And so I think it's honestly easier to kind of make one version of something and then configure it to be something else. You could do it from the beginning. You absolutely could. It's just how you think of it.
Okay.
And, one of the examples in my video, I think I did cabinets. So, you do the most European style cabinet, hinge pieces and all those things. You have attachment points on the doors and the sidewalls on either left or right side if it's a door. And that was like something that like Rob Lockwood and I were chatting about for years before, trying to figure out how to do in Fusion, because it would break the timeline. Because if you switched it from one side to the other, it was technically possible, but it would just destroy the timeline as soon as you switched it. So now it basically, I don't know how they're doing it, but it ignores that being broken, and you don't see any red or yellow in the timeline. And it does work functionally to be able to switch like the extrusion from one side to the other. But for me, that's basically typically a extrusion on one side and then go down the timeline, extrusion on the other, and I'm suppressing one or suppressing the other based on the configurations.
Yeah.
So I think there's got to be some better versions. That's just how I've thought to do it so far.
Yeah, sure. Cool. Okay. I'll have a crack. Try and get over my obstinance to that.
What's the thing you're trying? I forget now. What were you trying to accomplish by using it?
It would have been really useful on these tables, I think, that I've just done. Because it's like I made one master model, and then I needed to make a whole bunch of subtly different sizes to those tables, which should just be a parameter-driven thing, which is fine. Most of it was. But then some of the tables were taller and had like a foot rail, like a full feature that wasn't part of the original base model. And so I felt like, without really knowing enough about it, I felt like that would have been a good application for configurations where it's kind of the same base model, but then it's got new extrude carts, new bodies, new components, new considerations for this foot rail. Is that a fair
Maybe we should just do like a screen share and we can go through how to upgrade one of them or something.
Yeah, cool.
At some point.
Nice.
I think what's uncomfortable about Fusion in general, and it's taken me a really long time to do, and I kind of talked about it in that Fusion CAD course I just recorded was I kind of recognized it as I was about to record it. I was going to cut out this portion where I realized I made a mistake or I needed to change something. I was like, I'm going to show this because what you end up having to do is like destroy your timeline for a while when you make a change. And I think configurations does feel like that, where you like make a big mess and then fix it.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And then eventually it's better at fixing the big mess than maybe I would have done it otherwise. Because it kind of like helps heal the, oh, well, this plane is out of place now. And like, it just, I don't know, it ignores it, I guess. But
okay. I check it out.
yeah. I've been playing around quite a bit with, it's not a new thing by any means, but the page designer in Airtable, that extension that, have you done anything with that?
Is it less terrible than it used to be?
No, it's pretty terrible still.
Good to know.
In particular, designing things that maybe have higher detail and they're small, for example. It has no way to zoom in and out, so I have to like make my browser window either giant or shrink it way down. But I kind of suffer through the pain of it because of how a new product line we're coming out with soon here. I want to make all of the product labels out of Airtable because anybody can do it. It doesn't require like a Creative Cloud license for Adobe something with an InDesign PDF generation situation where every new SKU we would make, which is going to be pretty common for this product line, needs a new label. It needs all this data for it. It needs the SKU, all these other aspects. And what I can do with this now that I've kind of suffered through making it in this terrible interface is it just can print out a PDF of each one individually straight from Airtable. So like Ricky can do it, anybody could really do it now on our team. And it's just a little side extension pop-up in Airtable. So I guess
I saw those cool
nice
labels you were making. I was very impressed. Last time I have tried to use Page Designer in the past, and I've just found it infuriating. I've just opened it up as we're chatting. It is significantly better than it used to be, I think.
Oh, really? It's better. Holy crap.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems immediately more intuitive, but maybe that's just because I'm a few years down the Airtable journey. But no, it does look better.
I did notice as I was finding this link on the support documents now for the Page Designer extension, it says, we recommend using Interface Designer instead of Page Designer when applicable to your projects. And I didn't know that. And I've always struggled with interfaces. So that might be something I try.
Interesting.
But I have mostly gotten what I want. I think the worst problem of Page Designer is you're designing in pixels, which I'm used to for most parts, but I'm trying to make a printed object that's a certain size. And I think I figured out that the ratio is 1:96. So it's a 96 DPI item.
Okay.
I don't really understand why. But when you export the PDF, it comes out to be the right size. But we've used these, for example, that's what all of the labels are in our shop that are generated for like hardware bins come from the same thing. Like Ricky knows how to make those. And once you do the pain of making the one label, it should work for everything. So you don't have to keep making a new one, which is my goal with it. Hopefully there's a better version of it someday, but I guess it's both a plug and a request for it to be better.
Yeah, I feel like it's got potential to be so much better. Same with interfaces. Cool, but still quite clunky.
Do you use interfaces still?
Yeah, I do. For a couple of things, like quick quote building. I've got an interface view that I use for doing that.
Holy hell.
It's just we've got so many input fields in our quoting machine in Airtable that it's just easier to see them all in a single page interface view than an infinite side scroll in the table view.
Oh my god, yeah. Sometimes I make forms to make my own inputs and just don't share them anywhere.
Same. Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like the form for doing a quote. So I still use that quite heavily. That's the main one. And I've still not super relevant anymore, but I do have some like kind of reporting data analytics stuff built in interfaces as well to sort of look at quote history and conversion rate, stuff like that. But they're pretty cool. Just a bit clunky to build still, but yeah.
I think that's a big problem of Airtable in general, and why I think like why I jumped into fill out, right? To make different, better user experiences on the entry side for like customers. It just has so much more capability, and I think that still keeps me in Airtable is it is a good data management tool. For the most part, you can do a lot with it. Like, you know, I've keep expanding the capabilities of like we're taking registrations for the classes that way, and it worked pretty amazingly. And I'm dumping people into like different aspects. Like I can send them a follow-up email and forms and
cool.
Kind of all through that stuff, mostly through Airtable. But fill out just helps make it easier to enter, I guess.
Smooths the gaps or something. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Meow. Cool, man.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
What's up for you this week? Finish your tables.
You gotta finish my tables. Yeah, I'm gonna go do a little bit more guilty sorting out of these puzzle pieces before anyone else turns up. Get that all looking labelled and like it was meant to be there. And then I don't know. Quotes, drawings, bottleneck. I'm the drawing bottleneck right now, but that's all right. Get it done. Smash it out.
Need an AI for drawings.
Yeah.
You tried the automated drawings yet in Fusion?
No. Should I?
It was real bad when I tried it the last time, but
Okay.
it was like feel like if somebody knew computers and was trying to help you out to make drawings in Fusion, and it was like gave you 60 options of which drawings do you like best.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that's just about as much time as it takes me to make the drawing, so I'm not going to look through your options. I think they'll make it better, but I also just, I don't know. Wasn't helpful for me.
Cool. I will continue to do my drawings in Rhino, because that's where I like to draw.
Mm-hmm.
Cool bananas.
Okay.
Mash the button.
Goodbye. I don't have any buttons.
Ding.
Perfect.
Yeah, tune in to the B Parts Department with Jim and Justin swapping those sheets. All across the globe they design. Yeah, from down under to Portland's pine. Machines were the CNC stars. Listen in and tell a friend. Chips fly as the cutters carve. Ooh, pine falling like the curtain parts. Metals bending to the will of the mine. From black walnut to aluminum shine. Dawn's the maestro, tough and true. Behind the scenes, making dreams come through.